the Utah Jazz get an awesome win against a tired Bucks team. What happened? Walker, Kessler, Keonte George, is it happening? Let's talk about it. It's Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, let's just dive right into this and get into this game. What an awesome win for the Jazz, who have looked really bad recently. They have lost 3 in a row, and tonight this game started off pretty poorly. It looked like the Bucks team might come into this Jazz into the Delta Center and get a win on the Jazz team that had 2 days rest while the Bucks were on the back end of a back-to-back on the road. This had the makings of a really bad loss. And the Jazz needed someone to step up, and it came in the form of 2 young players on the Jazz. But before we talk about that, let's talk a little bit about the Bucks. I mean, this was the back end of a back-to-back. They mentioned on the Jazz broadcast that the Bucks came in at like 2 a.m. last night. And the thing is they still run. Here, let's pop this chat out here. They still run with Robert Hall. Welcome and good morning. They still run Giannis Antetokounmpo with new head coach Doc Rivers. 39 minutes, he gets 33 points, 13 assists, 7 rebounds. I mean, Giannis is just incredible. And what's the most impressive thing about Giannis really is just the drive that he has. His drive to play and compete no matter who it's against, no matter what night, is impressive. One of the best in the league. And it's not something that everybody has, but Giannis 100% has it. And so impressive night for Giannis to play that amount of minutes. And the other thing is that the Bucks were down a few players. I mean, they don't have Brook Lopez in this one, Chris Middleton, so they weren't at full strength either. Still, having Giannis and Damian Lillard is a pretty good combo. And they both played a lot of minutes, 39 and 37. And so they were going for it in this game. You know, and AJ Green came in for them, and a few guys came in and knocked down some shots. I don't know what's wrong with Pat Connaughton, but he is not the same player this year as he was last year. Look, he doesn't even take a single shot. Robin Lopez got rejected by Walker Kessler and was promptly put back on the bench after 4 minutes. No Thanasis tonight either. Thanasis DNP. Couldn't get on the floor. A shame. Anyways, that's it on the Bucks. Let's talk about the Jazz. So, there's some interesting things that should be happening come trade deadline. This Jazz team has 10 players, probably needs to run with a 10-man rotation. Probably should be running an 8 or 9-man, to be honest. And honestly, they have the assets to make a trade deadline to make that happen and still be a good team. Tonight really answered some questions for me. And I know it's the Bucks on the back end of a back-to-back. They were trying, though. They don't have a great defense, front court or backcourt. What is it? I think it's backcourt. I always get those two mixed up. Their guards are not good defenders. Damian Lillard, you know, the mix of Damian Lillard and Pat Connaughton and AJ Green and Malik Beasley. You know, Malik Beasley is actually probably a little better than people give him credit for, but not a great defender. And Dame is renowned for being not good. And so it's nice to see the Jazz step up and get a win in that situation. But what it did do is it made you really confident that if the Jazz do make some moves, then holy smokes, I think they'll be fine. Sure, they're going to have some rookie issues with Keonte George because all rookies do. There is just a lot of inexperience there. But tonight we saw the absolute confidence given into him. Walker Kessler played with confidence, and look what happens. They get a nice win. Let's go through the players, though. Simone plays 24 minutes. The defense is almost the most impressive thing with him, but he hits just 1 3 tonight, only took 3 threes in total. 11 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. He was actually okay. He's one of those players that you can put in, and I wouldn't be surprised if eventually he's just on the Jazz as a backup big. Although I'm not gonna lie, I'm curious actually with Simone. What is his contract? And you can see we've looked at this before. No, I don't want that. I want the actual. Let's see. Simone Fontecchio contract. Let's see. So he has a 2-year, $625 million. He is, I believe, on a rookie scale. So Restricted free agent next year. So I'm guessing he's going to be on the books next year. And then it'll be interesting after that. He may be one of those guys that another team goes after and just gets him. So it will be interesting. But Simone Fontecchio, such a solid wing player for the Jazz. Probably off the bench is where his best role is going to be. But that's pretty nice when you're paying him $3 million to put up the stats he's putting on. Look at this. Simone's doing 9 and 3 and an assist. And he's doing this with shooting splits of, let's see, 45 from the field, 39% from three. I mean, honestly, Simone has turned into a solid NBA player. And so it's just a luxury for the Jazz to have him. And then they have him next year for $3 million. Very doubtful they trade him and probably going to be on the Jazz for a while. Obviously, he's an older rookie, so we'll see what happens. But he's the type of guy I could see a contender kind of giving a bigger contract than maybe, or even one of those teams just looking for more depth. Like, I could see him getting a $10 million contract from someone. He's big, he defends, and he shoots the three well. So, pretty nice. Lauri Markkanen tonight. These numbers look really good, but I would say before the fourth quarter, he was not having the greatest game. It was not going, it was like fine, but it really felt like, man, the Jazz are missing that 1A guy. He ends the night 8 for 15, 53, 50. We say that, and then he ends the night 53% from the field, 50% from three. What's the weird thing about me, by the way? I just tried to clear my throat, and I had to stop mid-clear because it gives me the hiccups. Does anyone else have that? It is the weirdest malfunction of my physical body, is that I can't clear my throat without getting the hiccups. In fact, even talking about it now, I'm probably going to get the hiccups. It's so annoying. So I have to cough if I actually clear my throat. Just, random facts tonight for all of you. But anyways, 21 points in a plus 20 for the game. Obviously, Markkanen is a huge part of what the Jazz do, but he definitely needs playmaking around him to kind of enhance what he does, or at least have someone that can at least draw some of the attention off of him. There's nothing wrong with that. Markkanen's incredible. The things he does off the ball and the fact that he's able to score 20 to 25 points per game, whatever he's doing right now, I think it's like 23, isn't it? 24? Yeah, 23 and a half points per game. And he does that all off ball. And to be honest, with not the greatest playmaking, he's not on the floor with Chris Paul or any of these guys that set, he's not on the floor with Halliburton in Indiana. He is kind of playing on the floor with Chris Dunn and Colin Sexton, who have their moments playing well, but between the two, they had 9 assists, with that starting unit. And he's doing all this. So it's impressive what Markkanen does. At the same time, he probably is not that 1A guy that you need to win a championship. So the Jazz have to find that in different ways, whether it's through a single player or through developing certain other players to become that. Let's see. Kelly and Simone for our 2024 first round pick back, and Bertans. Who says no? I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. But I'm sure it's interesting. Anyways, that's what we saw from Markkanen tonight. And when certain players went off, Markkanen just added to it. Markkanen is absolutely a winning player. He is additive in everything that he does, but he does need to be additive. He is not the guy that you just put on the floor like Giannis and flat out can just win a game on the road in Utah, in altitude, back end of a back-to-back, long road trip. And Giannis, they ran out of gas, but Giannis absolutely came to play. Markkanen is definitely a championship caliber player, but the Jazz do need to find someone to put next to him. John Collins tonight, 7 for 11 from the field. Look at that. 15 points, 10 rebounds. Quietly a solid night statistically, and only a -9. I know, the Jazz got down by like 19, and they put in another unit that really pulled him back. But I'd say, John Collins has played pretty solid. Is he a starting center on a championship team? Probably not. But I think he's a good player as a backup player on a very good team. Now, I don't know if that's what he wants to do. We'll see. There may be a team out there that has a better fit for him. Probably. We've heard, I think, slight rumors that the Clippers are interested in John Collins. If the Clippers have anything they'd like to give Utah, and the Jazz can find a way to get more Taylor Hendricks on the floor and things like that, Walker Kessler, obviously, the Jazz just don't have a ton of center depth. The big rumor, and you should go to SLC Dunk because I've written about all of them. I need to do more videos about it. I'm sorry, but the Jazz might be buyers and sellers in this draft. And if I was, we know that they've made calls on Mikal Bridges. We know they've made calls on DeJounte Murray. They actually made an offer for DeJounte Murray and wasn't accepted. We'll see if on the 8th, if the Atlanta Hawks actually take the offer and the Jazz get DeJounte Murray. Although after what we saw tonight, I hope it wasn't a lot because Keonte George is certainly looking like the guy that you want to be giving the ball more and more. And not just giving the ball, but giving him confidence and support and belief, from him, coaches, and the players around him. And the guys that have not been doing that, probably getting traded, So anyways, we'll see if Collins gets traded. The only reason I would see them doing that, though, is they do need something in terms of backup center. I guess they can play Omer Yurtseven, but the Jazz do want to make the playoffs, or at least not convey their pick to Oklahoma City. So they're not tanking, that's for sure. So they can't just trade John Collins for a few second-round picks. No, they're not getting Kawhi, but they do need something, even if it's like, I don't know. They're not giving up Zubats or anything like that, so I just don't know what happens there. Colin Sexton had a nice start to the night. He was like 3 for 4 from 3. Obviously missed more after the fact, but yeah, sorry guys. Normally I'd edit that out, but we're live. But anyways, Colin Sexton goes 5 for 13 from the field. He had a better start to the night. He has that scuffle with Giannis, or at least where he taunted Giannis, and then Malik Beasley puts his shoulder into him. And there's like a tiny scuffle, and then it goes away. After that, you could tell Colin Sexton was hyped to like the maximum level. He went Super Saiyan overdrive and started not making shots. And I feel like in two ways it was helpful for the Jazz. One, the energy from that really seemed to wake the team up. They really were just going through the motions. This team needs this trade deadline, by the way. You can tell they are all just waiting to see what happens, especially the guys who have their names in trade talks are looking not great. And they obviously are just wondering what's going to happen with them and where they're going and so on. And, that scuffle, that ruckus, that bamboozle, whatever you want to call it, that gave life to the Jazz. And they absolutely got some energy from that. And I think that energy really picked them up. And I know in the third quarter, they were still down. Every single time they came close, the Bucks would come back and hit a big three or get a shot, or Giannis would get free throws. Giannis took 15 free throws tonight. And by the way, can he hurry it up? I know as Jazz fans, we probably don't have a lot of room to talk with how long Karl Malone used to take with his free throws. So I get it. But now I understand why that's annoying, because it's just like, shoot the free throw, bounce the ball, set your shot, shoot it, and fire. This whole thing is silly. It takes forever. It's annoying. But anyways, Chris Dunn, by the way, the numbers weren't great, and I think you've got to recognize when the numbers aren't perfect, although tonight he did have 6 assists, and Chris Dunn is not going to put up monster scoring numbers. He is a defensive guard that moves the ball and can do a lot of little things, but he plays about 16 to 22 minutes every night. It's crazy. Every night, that's about where he falls, and I think he's fine with that. We'll see where this lineups get adjusted once trade deadline passes. It kind of, I guess, depends on what the Jazz get, who goes, who's left, etc. But it'll be interesting to see if this guard duo is still the starters, if Keonte just comes off the bench for the rest of the year, which seems likely, but you never know. We shall see. But anyways, Chris Dunn playing solid minutes. He's such a great locker room guy, great presence, really great. Michael Scott free throw routine. That's great. That's actually great. Member for 35 months, Robert Hall. What are the latest rumors on who goes? Let's do it. I put in the work. If you guys are reading SLC Dunk, great. If you're not, you should be. This is the website I manage for SB Nation. You're welcome. Go there. Here, I wrote this before this show tonight. There you go. There's the recap. Oh, look who wrote the preview. One of my writers could not write tonight, so I had to do double duty tonight. So anyways, go read my words. I wrote them down. Go read them. But anyways, here's one. These are NBA trade rumor. Utah Jazz, and I wrote this. I read it all and I listened to it all so I could share it with you. Utah Jazz consider Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, and Kelly Olynyk available assets. This is the latest trade rumor. This came from Hardwood Paroxysm. I don't always agree with everything he says, nor do I believe his intel. I believe the intel. I don't always believe his interpretations. He makes me mad. I have been in arguments with him. But hey, I'm not too big to. Oh, whoops. Let's see. There it is. There's the tweet. But anyways, that comes from Hardwood Paroxysm. This is where I get a little bit with him, where he says Utah seems to be pursuing upgrades to the roster and not rebuilding moves. That's his opinion. We'll see. But anyways, these are the three that are available if someone wants them. We know that Jordan Clarkson is connected to. Let's see. We know that Jordan Clarkson is connected to the Knicks. I was going to write another thing, but I didn't want to because I've already written like 2 or 3 Jordan Clarkson to the Knicks rumors. I think that's the trade. I think right now the Knicks are just planning on trading Clarkson, but they're not going to trade him now up until trade deadline when they know that's the best they can get. Because the Knicks have Evan Fournier, who has like $20 million in expiring, and they don't want to just waste that. They'd rather use that to go get a guy, and they can get Jordan Clarkson. Now they could trade him again if it doesn't work out, but that has been the big rumor so far is Jordan Clarkson to the Knicks. Kelly Olynyk has been connected to the Boston Celtics. Let's see, where was that? Yes. So Kelly Olynyk is on the trade block, and the biggest thing with him is he is the most sought after Jazz player, apparently. KO to anybody but Keyonte. Tonight, KO was somebody, including Keyonte. He was. Thank you for the $2, DWCB. Thank you so much. I appreciate it a lot. And yeah, guess what? It's crazy. When the ball moves freely and players aren't icing out other players, it's crazy what happens. Isn't it remarkable that your offense runs better if you have guys willing to pass to anyone on the team and not passing to people? Anyways, 7 teams. So this comes from Mark Stein, who is locked in. This wasn't necessarily him saying these guys, but for him to write these names down is interesting because these are all contenders over the apron. And he had an interesting tidbit about contracts where it says they will be restricted to pursuing buyout players who are making less than the league's $12.4 million. So I think a lot of these guys are hoping the Jazz just buy out Kelly Olynyk because he makes 12.2, which is under that $12.4 million threshold, which means if the Jazz bought him out, they could sign him, I guess. I don't know that. I'm not a cap guy, so I don't know that 100% or understand that completely. But that's what it certainly sounds like. That I guess that's a rule. Anyways, the Jazz aren't doing that. The Jazz are not going to buy out Kelly Olynyk and then just let, Boston or Denver or Golden State or any of these teams pick him up. Nor do I know if even any of them can, if they're over the cap. So how do they do this? Well, they got to trade for him. And Utah's probably more than willing to make a trade, but they're going to need something back. So this goes back to the whole lineup decision. If you trade John Collins to the Clippers, you need something back. Do you get a guy back in, someone from the Celtics or Golden State or Clippers that can kind of let Walker Kessler start and be a backup center? We know that the Jazz went after basketball Paul Reed from the Philadelphia 76ers, probably planning for this trade deadline, for this exact scenario, So it's interesting. So Kelly Olynyk is one of the most sought after, and I've heard that on multiple pods, that he is the guy a lot of teams are getting. I mean, I would be pretty surprised if Kelly Olynyk is still on the Jazz after trade deadline. He is very likely to be traded. Jordan Clarkson, there is a good likelihood he gets moved to the New York Knicks. It seems like that's almost a possibility. But this latest one is interesting, and I've heard this multiple places in multiple pods, multiple reports, rumor mill, all that stuff, that Colin Sexton is available if you want him. The Lowry Markkanen stuff has really quieted down. I think the Jazz have really kind of shut that down and said, hey, if you want Markkanen, you can, but you're going to have to give us absolutely a ton to get him. Dre, Zach Lowe mentioned KO to OKC. There you go. Another contender that could get another guy. And that one makes sense because they could use a guy that stretches the floor and can take some of that burden off of Chet Holmgren, who looks like he's wearing out. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they trade for Kelly Olynyk just to run Chet Holmgren less minutes because he has played incredible this year, probably rookie of the year, although uh, it looks like the rookie of the year is far from over. Wemby looks like he's about to take it back, but they need to give him some rest because you don't want him worn down for his first playoffs, So someone like Kelly Olynyk could absolutely be great for them. Jace Garner, 199. Thank you, Jace. I appreciate it a ton. And thanks for being a member of the channel, too. Time for the Keonte haters to be quiet already. Yeah! We didn't see a lot of those comments tonight, did we? Did we? It's impressive and surprising and pretty good what happens when the ball moves and you're not icing out Keonte George, right? Holy smokes. You know that play we showed last show and that thing that was on Twitter? Well, guess what? We had a play similar to that tonight. Keonte George gets it on the three-point line. I believe it was from Kelly Olynyk. He doesn't take the three, drives to the basket, and scores. It put the Jazz within one when they were starting their comeback, and it was big time. And stuff like that, you can't put up with that. That's craziness. KO to anybody but Keyonte. DW to CB, my man. Another $2. I appreciate it, my friend, so much. Bucks learned what happened when you poke the bull. That's right. Honestly, when when Colin Sexton was standing over Giannis Antetokounmpo and he was like mean mugging him, basically, you know how like bulls when they're about to charge and they like drag their hoof or whatever. That's like what it looked like. I honestly yelled in shock and laughed because I could not believe the audacity the absolute audacity of Colin Sexton to stand over one of the most physically dominant human beings on planet Earth. And Colin Sexton does not care. That is why I love Colin Sexton. If he gets traded, I will be sad because of those reasons. He is awesome. That mentality is amazing. Robert Hall of Fame, just the $9.99 donation with the sunglasses is incredible. Here's my semi-regular keep going hoops nerd. There you go. Well, Robert Hall of Fame, I appreciate the donation immensely. The OG Robert Hall of Fame, baby. And hopefully your boy's doing well with basketball. I know you're looking at Dribble Up and Comp. I highly recommend Comp League. If your boys and girls are way into basketball, we have a girl on my boys' basketball team, and she's awesome. I highly recommend Comp League for your kids. It takes their game to another level. Junior Jazz is fun if you're a beginner, but you know what? When you get in those comp leagues and you're playing against kids that are getting all the training and stuff, you have to rise and you realize how good you have to be. And, it's just like anything. You rise to the level of competition. So highly recommend Comp League for kids. It's great. If they love it, if they love it. Oh, man. That was so funny tonight. Colin Sexton, what he did. That was incredible. Anyways, I think those are the latest rumors. Not a lot else. I mean, I was listening to Mark Stein. I think really the rumors now, and I think it is interesting, the Jazz made an actual offer for DeJounte Murray, and it was just the Jazz and just the Lakers. So that's interesting. So we'll see. KO to anybody but Keyonte, $2. Thank you again, sir. So many. Thank you. Sexton, Antetokounmpo, who? Antetokounmpo? By the way, I'm a little bit out on Giannis, and that whole thing with the basketball was kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie, like that's weird, and the complaints, and I get it. Their coach wasn't very good this year, although they were 30 something and 13. They're pretty good, but I don't know. The long free throw thing is annoying. It's really annoying. Like I don't know. It's whatever. I like the Bucks because there are a lot of former Jazz guys on there. Dame's from Weber State. Jay Crowder, uh, who's the other one? Malik Beasley and so on. But man. All right, let's see. Should we talk about Walker Kessler? Kessler had an awesome night. He did 13 points, 8 rebounds, and looked good. 3 blocks. It looked like the Kessler from his rookie year. He had some nice plays, and it was just nice to see. So Walker Kessler was awesome. And I tell you what, this lineup, there was a lineup tonight. It was Walker Kessler, and it was the lineup that just destroyed the Bucks. And by the way, you got to give credit to Will Hardy because he ran that lineup until the game was done. It was working. The Jazz were scorching the Bucks, and Hardy just ran with it. Unlike freaking Quinn Snyder, who, as soon as the Jazz get a run with their bench, just has to cut it off because you got to put in the starters. You know, I tell you what, we do prize picks on this channel. I didn't do the intro. I might give it a break for a week or two, but it's really hard to win on prize picks with Will Hardy because he just changes everything every game. He adjusts like crazy. So you'll think, oh, this is going to be an easy pick. And you know what? Keonte George has an awesome night and Colin Sexton doesn't play the fourth quarter. You know? And so that's just how Will Hardy does it. And these minutes are spread. It's crazy. They run a 10-man unit legit. It's really great. So Keonte George, 20, the ghost of Quinn Snyder often. Yes, he does. By the way, I recently, out of anger last game, got my petty folder back on Twitter. I signed up for the very lowest level, which was nice because all my tweets that I saved in a petty folder from when I had Twitter Blue pre-Elon Musk were all there. And there were a lot of tweets from a lot of people telling me I was wrong about Quinn Snyder and thinking Will Hardy was better. I have the receipts now. I have them. I might share them. We'll see. But I'm not going to lie. That was satisfying to see. Keonte George tonight and Walker Kessler, though, together. The lineup that was so awesome, though, was Lauri Markkanen. Look at that, plus 20. Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler, Keonte George, Jordan Clarkson. And was that it? Let's see. Jordan Clarkson, Keonte George, Walker Kessler. And I think they were running Kelly Olynyk, too, in that lineup. And, oh, my gosh. It smoked them. It really smoked them. Look at this. Plus 24, Keonte George plus 16, Jordan Clarkson plus 10, Walker Kessler plus 22. You can see the lineup that did it just from there. There you go. 20, 22, 16, 10, 24. That was the lineup. Jordan the Goat Best Roll, 199. Love when you smack talk on Snyder and Kerr. And by the way, thank you, Jordan, for the donation. All right, should we smack talk Quinn Snyder? All I got to do is, let's go here. Boom. Utah Jazz in a apparent rebuild. 13. Look at this. Where's Atlanta? Oh, dang. Below 500. 5 below. Trae Young is on that team. Can't seem to find a way to win games. Doggone it. Who knew? Well, we did. We did. We were tired of it. This thing where you don't adjust. By the way, that's the story of the game. You know, Will Hardy ran with it. This lineup's working. It's winning. Let's go with it until we win the game. Why wouldn't you do that? You know? If it's working, if those players have a matchup that they're crushing, go with it. Don't interrupt the rhythm. Don't interrupt the flow. You know, Kessler played awesome. And, you know, Jordan Clarkson didn't even have a great night tonight. He was 3 for 11 from the field. Couldn't hit a 3. 12 points. The Jazz still win. And he's not a very good defender. You know, Ochai played... and then Kelly Olynyk shot the ball really well. I mean, this is honestly a solid night, and this is why teams are interested in Kelly Olynyk. Look at this. 8.7 rebounds, 6 assists. He really does move the ball. And so there's going to be a team out there that wants him and probably going to have to give a pick for him. I would love to see the Jazz get a first-round pick in this draft since they don't have any. You know, convey your pick to OKC, but then trade for one back for someone else. And then run with young guys next year. But anyways, the guy that was that had me so excited was, look at this. Keonte George, 53% from the field, 5 for 9 from 3. He still has those moments where he's tentative. And one thing that I want him to play with is just confidence. And it's hard. If you have Jordan Clarkson and Kelly Olynyk not giving you confidence, it's hard to overcome that on a basketball floor. It's just hard. Tonight you could just see it. He's like, I'm going for it. And he had some, I know he only had 2 assists. He had some plays where guys were getting open threes from him. They were not knocking down. It was awesome. He was great tonight. And we saw the full bag. He didn't get any free throws tonight, even though he did get fouled on one. They didn't call it, but 7 for 13 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3. He had that one pull-up 3 at the top of the 3-point line and just was an absolute dagger to the Bucks. Just took the life out of them. He went on a 6-0 run by himself that really started all of this with those 2 corner threes, and they were not easy. He sidestepped and got the separation and fired. When that 3-point shot gets more consistent, and he's got the catch and shoot 3, he's got the pull up 3, he's got the 3, like the pull up 3 within a pick and roll. But then when you combine the fact that he is such a good pick and roll passer and great vision, I mean, he has the full bag. And this is why I'm not as big on drafting or on trading for DeJounte Murray. I'd say, you know what? If we're keeping, let's say Colin Sexton doesn't get traded, run with Sexton and Dunn, but then let Keonte George run the show on the second unit, gain that confidence, and then let him work his way eventually into the starting unit. Probably next year. We shall see, but I think he's ready. Now, the other thing is, if Kelly Olynyk gets traded, the thing that will help the Jazz the most is that Taylor Hendricks is waiting in the wings. The first half, and watching this game that got me so, just honestly, the first half of this game was a bummer. Until the Colin Sexton fight, it was like, are you kidding? We're doing this again. And you really just go to the Stars Twitter page and you watch Bryce Sensabaugh highlights, you watch Taylor Hendricks highlights. And really the biggest thing I noticed in this game, especially in the first half, the Jazz just don't have enough defensive talent on the floor playing. Like, they just don't have enough on the floor. And Taylor Hendricks, Diego, are you the one that went to the Stars game today? That's awesome. Taylor Hendricks was so good today with the Stars. Bryce too. That's awesome. They need Taylor Hendricks on the floor because he is a defensive talent, and that's just something the Jazz need. In this last 3-game stretch, I looked at it before the game, and I've looked at it before. I think we talked about it last show. In the last 3 games, the 3-game losing streak for the Jazz, their offense has actually been pretty fine. It's been 14. It's, slightly above average, but 14th in the NBA in offense is like, if you're a championship caliber team, you're not happy with that. But with a young rebuilding team, that's pretty good. But the Jazz have the number 30 defense in that span. Like, the defense is just putrid. It's terrible. And it looked horrible in the first half. And you could just tell, like, they need more defensive talent. They just do. I mean, how many players, Walker Kessler is a good defensive player. Chris Dunn is a good defensive player. I actually think Keyonte is a pretty good defensive player. Some of the things he was doing tonight. But he's not, like, right now he's just a rookie. Outside of them, Markkanen was not able to stop Giannis, and that's no one stops Giannis, to be honest. But I wouldn't say Lauri Markkanen is anything other than an average defender. Simone Fontecchio has moments where he looks pretty good. But overall, the defensive, Colin Sexton is not a very good defender. He puts his heart and soul into it, but he's just not very big. And like I said, there's moments where I see Keonte do things and I'm like, is he a good defender? Like, there were a few moments tonight. He even had a nice little stop on Giannis where it's like, he might be a good defender, not just like weakness and stuff like that, but like actual good defender. Jordan Clarkson's terrible. Ochai's pretty good. It's just, he can't seem to find minutes on the floor. And the other thing, by the way, this step back 3 by Ochai gave me so much joy. So much joy. And Kelly Olynyk is a terrible defender. He's just not very good. He is an offensive player at this point. So the Jazz just need that infusion of one guy that can really change things. And I bet you what, you put Taylor Hendricks on the floor, give him, 16 to 22 minutes a night, kind of like what Kelly Olynyk's getting, and you're going to see that defensive rating go up. And this Jazz bench, I mean, how fun would this be? Keonte George, Walker Kessler, Taylor Hendricks as your three main guys running the defense or running the second unit and running the defense. I mean, a backcourt of like, think about this. This is what gets me really excited. And I think the Jazz could absolutely do. Now that we know Keyonte can move the ball, we have Colin Sexton moving the ball better. You can go with a starting unit eventually, and I hope they do this next year, to be honest. Markkanen, Hendricks, Kessler, and that's a spread floor with only one non-shooting big. Mr. Nine, welcome to Rookie. Welcome to the channel. Everyone welcome Mr. Nine. Thank you, my friend, for joining the channel. Markkanen and Hendricks and Kessler is a big lineup. And then you put Keonte George on there. You probably need a little bit more playmaking from the number 2 spot. So that's probably where the Jazz really need to find what they can do, which is probably why you look at someone like DeJounte Murray. But anyways, I think that is an interesting lineup, and I think it could be good, and I think it's what they're going to run next year, to be honest. We'll see what happens post-trade deadline. We don't know who's going to be on the Jazz and who's not. But I absolutely think Taylor Hendricks is ready to start getting those bench units and eventually work his way up, to starter level. So I'm excited about that. I really would like to see that. Diego, it sounds like Hendricks was awesome tonight. Let's see. Taylor Hendricks was so good today with the Stars. How exciting. I mean, honestly, in his moments he's been with the Jazz, he's been good. I remember, so SLC Dunk, I used to have a really good contact with the Stars. I used to text him about things. I actually have the old coach's number in my phone. But I used to go cover some of the Stars games, and I interviewed what was his name? Jarrell Brantley. By the way, interviewing players is the most overrated thing there is. It's like they do not want to talk to you, It's like the last thing they want to do, especially in the G League. They just want to go home. They don't care. And but anyways, I used to see Jarrell Brantley just crush people. The nice thing that he would turn the ball over like crazy, and that was one of his big problems. And there were some other issues, consistency shooting and who knows what else. But he would crush guys in the G League sometimes. Like, oh my gosh, this guy has such, and that's why I was like, get him on the Jazz. And then it wasn't quite there. And also Quinn Snyder sucks. So who knows if he could have been better. But anyways, Taylor Hendricks, it's nice to see him doing well in the G League, but we've seen him do well in the end. Like, we've seen all the flashes. Like, every time in the floor, it's like dropping water and hot oil. You see these little flashes and sparks. And, it's only a matter of time before that really turns into something nice. And he just needs minutes on the floor. And so I just, we don't have a sports book in Utah, but if I did, I would put money on Kelly Olynyk getting moved. I'll just say that. I would just say that. Ezekiel Raisibe, member for 34 months. You know what, Ezekiel? Thank you so much for just being a part of my, it's the Jazz community, the Hoops Nerd community, all of the Hoops Nerd that are part of this channel. Keep up the great work, James. Love being part of the Jazz community from literally halfway across the world. Ezekiel Raisibe, the man from down under, from Australia. I'm so happy you're with us, man. Freaking awesome. Australia, right? Or is it? I thought it was Australia, not New Zealand. But anyways, so happy you're here with us, Ezekiel. And everyone else who's a member of the channel, Mr. Nine and KO, to anybody with Keyonte, Jordan Besserell, the GOAT, all of you guys, and Robert Hall of Fame, baby, Jace Garner, all of you, I appreciate you a ton. You're the best. And if anyone else wants to join the channel and become a Hoops Nerd, just hit the join button. You can join Rookie, or if you want to be a part of the show and have a nickname like all of the other amazing All-Stars, then join the All-Stars. But anyways, I think that's it for tonight. How long do we go? 39? Pretty good. Let's see. I'm going to start the music, and then let's just look at I want to look at, just for a final thing, just the Jazz standings, and then we'll give a shout out to the All-Stars. But let's see. Let's go to... I love Tankathon, by the way. It's great. Even just for standings watch. It's in reverse, but it's actually the best out there because it runs in real time. So Utah, with their 3-game losing streak, and the Lakers now on a 2-game winning streak, have now passed the Jazz. So the Jazz have to keep winning. They are now a game back of the Lakers, only a game ahead of Houston, who lost tonight, so that's nice. But Utah needs to keep winning because these bozos right here are still trying to win games. I know Quinn Snyder doing a great job. Let's just ignore that he won 4 in a row. We'll ignore it. But anyways, Golden State sucks. All these guys suck, but they're going to keep trying to win. Utah has to keep winning. Has to keep winning. All right. Man, my nose is running like crazy. All right, let's give a shout out to our All-Stars. Let's give a shout out. Let's give a shout out. I don't know what else on the screen. All right, let's give a shout out to Dirty Jazz Car Wash Channel, Just Buckets JB, Baby Elliott Matson, Christian House Money to Haas, The Outlaw, Jesse James Nelson, all the Josh you need, just Josh in your pod. Ryan Perry, the legend of Secretly Recibe, the man from down under. Yes, Jake C. Can. See ya, Alexa later. Built for Tough, Alexander Tufts, Jorge Arrizaga, Mimi de Abajo, Jordan the Goat Bessel, TGD, Total Game Domination, Tyson Price, The Price is Right, Austin, our Grant Editor Extraordinaire, KO to Anybody But Friante, DWCB, the original, Patrick Rubel, the Connoisseur, and Robert Hall of Fame. Guys, like I said, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will talk to you next time.